Hjärtligt välkomna till kvällens livesändning. Jag tänkte att jag hade Adi med mig direkt här, men han är ju med på länk och tänkte bara säga att det här ska bli super roligt. Och jag tänker att vi tar in Adi direkt och ni får jättegärna kommentera som vanligt hur många ni är som tittar. Om ni har köpt vinerna, för att det här är ganska speciellt. Vissa av vinerna kunde man bara köpa 3, alltså minimiorder om 3 flaskor, men flera av de andra 3 kan man ju beställa en och en. Har ni inte köpt vinerna så rekommenderar jag verkligen till att testa dem en annan gång. Och jag var ju i Sydafrika i februari förra året och gjorde skörd själv i Swartland. Eller inte gjorde skörd, jag praktiserade i ett vineri. Och då hade jag äran att lära känna Adi. Så att det här är en stor ära att jag får ha med mig Adi på länk. Let's see, we take away. Hello!
Hello!
People can see you now.
Yeah, that opening music sounded almost like Dallas. You know, the start of Dallas.
Yeah. Did you dance a bit or?
I had a few movements.
Well, yeah, it's my dad made that intro music, so yeah, it makes you good start.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it. Adi, I'm so pleased to have you with me, and actually I've done these tastings now for a year, actually since I got back from South Africa, and I'm always nervous if I have someone on the link. What if we don't have anything to talk about? But then I thought, I'm having you here now, and if we don't have anything to talk about, we can just have Swedish lessons, and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Danielle, thanks. Yeah, listen, thanks for having me. But I think the Swedish you've taught me is probably most of it's not repeatable on this kind of forum. But yeah, thanks for listening, and thank you very much for putting everything together. It's really nice to talk to you and nice to see you. And yeah, hopefully, I can just explain some of the stuff we're doing. And talk a little bit about the wines, and probably answer any questions.
Absolutely. People watching, if you have any questions during the tasting, just write in the comment, and we answer as quickly as we can or when it suits. Adi, I think I'm going to start with just show a map of where we are. So here we have the whole South Africa. Actually, this one is from Cape Wines of South Africa, I think. Yeah. And you are in the pinkish. It's quite big, right?
It's a very big appellation. That's the Swartland. We are in the southern part of that pink area, and to give an indication, from where we are to drive to the north part of the appellation, it's a 150-kilometer drive. It's a very, very long drive. It's a very big appellation, but very, very diverse. It's an amazing amount of different soils and obviously people and dialects and all kinds of things. It's an amazing appellation to be part of.
There we go. So there we go. Now we have a good picture of you. Yeah, and these are all the wines we're going to taste today. 6 of them we have in Sweden now. With the importer, how do you pronounce the importer? Do you remember?
Vinett.
Well done.
It took me a while to get that right, Yeah, we've just started with them probably 3 or 4 months ago, and yeah, we're very excited and about the wines that are coming to Sweden, about the wines that are going to be available to everybody, and yeah, obviously, we think there's tremendous potential for our wines there. There's appreciation for fine wine, and we offer both wines of great value and of course fine wines.
Should we start for people watching? There might be a few people that actually, for me, obviously, I know who you are, but there might be a few people that don't know your history. Do you want to say something about yourself to start with?
Yeah, I can do that. I grew up obviously in South Africa. My father and grandfather were both involved in farming, in grapes, viticulture especially. So I grew up in the wine areas, and then I studied winemaking at university, and started to make wine. And I worked in Stellenbosch at a big winery for about 9 or 10 years almost. And in 2007, 2008, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, we bought this property in the Swartland, my cousin and I. And my wife, Cornelia, and I, we run the business as it is.
And for the people who hasn't been there, it's such a beautiful place with you have like bed and breakfast, and people can have weddings and things, and it's a beautiful place to visit as well if anyone travels to Swartland.
Yeah, it is an amazing. No, you're right. It's an amazing place. I mean, we 1.5 hours, 1 hour north of Cape Town, 70 kilometers northwest of Cape Town, on the west coast, as you saw from the map earlier on. We've bought a bit of land in the last couple of years, and we make wine in a very dodgy winery. It looks like a Taliban bomb shelter most of the time. I mean, it's just these concrete tanks, big wooden vats, very decent coffee machine though, and nice music. But we farm bush vines. That's our thing. We've got 75 hectares of bush vines, which is a lot. No, that's one of them there.
That's one of them.
That's one of them. That's what they look like, these old bush vines. A lot of them are planted in the 1950s and 60s, but we plant new vineyards every year. And we try and make wine from them, wine that we like, obviously, and then it's even better if somebody else likes the wine as well, because that means we can sell it and plant more vineyards and farm.
It's a lot easier if someone actually likes the wine. And
yeah, exactly.
You sent me like loads of beautiful pictures. We might just go through them a little bit. So we start with the best part. These are the dogs.
Oh, jeez. Look, yeah, those are my dogs. I mean, I'm not a dog posting person, but those two dogs are with me everywhere, 24/7. They're not further than like 3 meters from my side. They're lying literally here next to me now. They don't move from my side. They're on the back of the truck. They're in the vineyards. They're in the winery when we're filling. No, it's crazy. So those are two of my friends that hang with me all day. They're not much involved, as you can see, in the winemaking. They're pretty lazy asses.
That one we already had. They're pretty lazy in the winemaking part.
They're lazy asses,
So they're not doing much work on this picture, right?
No, they are doing nothing. That's just to give you a bit of the feeling and the idea of what it is around here. So our farm is at an elevation of about 300 meters above sea level, and that's just one of the old vineyards that we pick. We pick by hand and load the crates onto the back of the tractor. That goes down to the winery. We chill the grapes overnight, and then the next day we press or put into a tank or whatever. And what else have we got there?
We have, let's see what we have. Filling barrels. We have the barrel room. This is just a quick.
Yeah, that's just barrels. Everybody knows what a barrel looks like. But one of our wines that we're going to taste tonight is the Secretaire Chenin Blanc. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's a very important wine because we make a lot of it. It's the wine we make the most of. It's a blend of 28 different vineyards, and they're all matured in concrete tanks, big wooden vats, small vats like that. You can see there's different sizes of vats.
That's a big vat.
Yeah, those are the big vats, and there's a row of concrete tanks down there. the winery actually never looks that neat. I mean, that is an amazing picture. I think it's, you know, it doesn't look that tidy. But that's our main fermentation hall. These big wooden vats. All the fermentations are, of course, natural. Yeah, and so we use big wood like that. You can see those big vats, and they're old, because we don't really want any wood tannin or wood flavor from the wines. They're just very good storage vessels.
What else do we have? We have, oh yeah, well, here we have the dogs, but we put it there, and then
Dogs.
that's better. Dogs working.
Dogs again. Yeah, that's my brother in the blue t-shirt and my brother-in-law on the left. That's just loading grapes into a mash pump that pumps whole bunches into the press or into a tank. Obviously, I'm always behind the camera. I don't like to, get my hands dirty. I've got very soft hands.
That's what I thought. You don't like working.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a softie like that. That's just, some of the, and there's another picture I sent you as well of just different grape pictures. But a lot of the vineyards are these mixed plantings. That I think is Cinsault, Grenache, Chenin Blanc, a little bit of Verdelho, and some Palomino in there. And we just ferment all the stuff together, and see what happens at the end of the day.
And then we had, that was the cellar. And this is one of your sons?
Yeah, that's my son, Samuel. Yeah, he likes to hang out in the winery in the weekends. He's busy. I don't know what he was doing there. He's probably doing a pump over or something on one of the tanks. He likes to sit up there out of the action,
And there we go.
That's Selma. She works in the winery. We've just been emptying. That is Cinsault tank. That is Ram Nasra Cinsault. That's emptying one of the Cinsault tanks. So we empty it into those bins, and then from the bins we take that and load it into the press. So shovel out by hand and then load in.
We actually got a pretty good question here because I don't think it's obvious for people.
Yeah.
A bush vine. Can you explain what that is?
Well, a bush vine is a vine that has been planted in the ground. It's when we plant vines, they've got rootstocks and scions. So it's just planted in the ground. So for the first year, it just grows naturally. You'll see there's no poles, there's no wires whatsoever. So it's low off the ground. That muck or the V that forms is probably about 40 centimeters above the ground, and we prune it in a shape like a goblet shape with 4 or 5 bearers, and from these bearers, we'll take 2 shoots will come up from these, and we'll just prune those down every year. So that is a bush vine. It's low on the ground. It's perfectly orientated because the sun and the wind moves through it. There's light and there's air, and it's a really wonderful canopy. With trellised vineyards, you've got to be very particular, obviously, about the road direction for wind and the way the sun moves over across the sky, and all the fruit in a VSP trellis system is all sort of concentrated in a fruiting zone. In the same place, so it's a lot more even. Bush vines, the ripening is a lot more uneven. But I'm too fucking old to climb under wires if I want to go between the rows, So that's why I like bush vines. You can walk through the vineyards without any hindrance, and you look pretty good. You look really terrible if you're crawling under wires the whole time, Very bad for your bad for your back, and it's really not that graceful.
Yeah. No good pictures on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's we should start tasting or talk about the first wine. I've actually chose to take, let's see, we have bottles, and we take you in on that one as well. So I started with the Secateur, the white Secateur. Do you think that's a good wine to start with?
I think it's a fantastic wine to start with. I mean, I think this wine has been for us a fantastic wine to make. We started in 2009 with the first vintage of Secatier Chenin Blanc. Secatiers obviously refers to the pruning shears, and the pruning shears it's the most important tool we use in the winery, in farming. You know, it's used for pruning and for picking grapes, shaping the vines in the winter. And that is a blend of Chenin Blanc vineyards. So it's a single varietal blend, as I said earlier, of 28 different vineyards. Now, what we do, which is maybe a little bit different from other producers, when we pick, you know, we'll start picking basically, I don't know, we just start picking a vineyard and we'll pick at lower sugars. And then as the harvest goes on, the vines will become riper and riper. But as that juice comes in, we put it into various tanks and into barrels and leave some on skins, that kind of thing. So, and then every day or every second day, as we pick more Chenin, it goes into those same tanks. So we're continuously making a blend while we're picking over 3 weeks, you know, which is a nice way to do it. It makes our life much easier at the end of the day because the wine's already blended. I'm a bit of a lazy ass. But what it also does very, very importantly is that in these tanks, you get very different flavor spectrums and obviously sugar ripenesses. And so when the tank starts fermenting, it'll ferment. And then the next day or so, it'll get fresh juice from another vineyard and from another vineyard every couple of days. So the fermentation is very, very long. So the fermentations take up to 6 weeks to complete. And then when they do that, the yeasts like stress a bit, you know, it's like their buddies around them are dying because like the alcohol's getting higher, there's less food. It's a very stressful environment for yeast. And so they really have to like dig deep into their hearts to finish the fermentation. And then when they do that, then you get really interesting aromatic flavors developing because they follow different metabolic pathways and really nice texture. So that's for us, the hallmarks of this wine is just really nice aromatic. Some people describe it as yellow fruits. Some people find a little bit of jasmine in the wine, some grapefruit, you know, the citrus components. But it's well balanced. It's got a nice texture. It's got a well balanced acidity. It's just a lot of flavor. And this is for us your sort of gateway into Swartland Chenin Blanc and South African Chenin Blanc. I think it's a very good example of it because the vineyards are good. Look, winemaking wise, we are pretty shit, but our vineyards are good. And yeah, and because the winemaking is so dodgy, it's the wine is very stable and it ages fantastically, which a lot of people don't realize.
How long? Actually, I got a really good question. There's a fox on the side of every bottle. What's the story about that?
That is to mark halfway in the bottle. So there, you know, in the old days, there was a wine in South Africa called Tas, and there was a printing error on the label, and there was a printing error, and on the side of the label there was a 7, and the guys used to buy a bottle, put their thumb on the 7, and then drink to the 7, and pass the bottle to the next guy. So that's how they would share a bottle of wine. There would never be any fights. So we decided to put the jackal, the fox, the jakkals. We're on the Jakkalsfontein Road, just to mark halfway. So you can see where you're drinking, Daniela. You can't fool the fox. Huh?
Yeah.
We know how far you've gone. You know.
Can't fool anyone.
Yeah. So all of our labels have got a halfway mark somewhere. You know. And also I must just mention just something about the Chenin Blanc. I said it's single varietal, but there's quite a few tiny amounts of other grapes planted in these old vineyards. Stuff like Claret Blanche, Palomino, mainly those two, a little bit of Muscadel interplanted in these old vineyards.
Because you are also very involved in the Old Vine project, right?
No,
you're not at all. You're not at all involved.
No.
No.
I've just joined it. I've just joined it.
Yeah.
But you have to put like stickers on your bottle. Fuck, so I don't know.
So we don't like stickers on bottles.
I don't like too many stickers. I like a sticker on the bottle, but not too many. If it says like, I don't know, the Swartland Pigeon Club gold medal, I might put that on.
And this one, you need to put that one on.
Okay, that one we need to put on. That's the certification sticker.
Yeah. I remember last year when I was at Stompy's place, we had an order of, I think, kind of a lot of bottles, and I packed them all, and they didn't have the sticker on, so I had to do it again.
You have to unpack everything.
Yeah.
No, it's it's something you got to learn.
Then you look.
Yeah.
Do you have a front label? Do you have the right back label? Do I have the service? Oh yeah, okay, now it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Now, luckily, when we unless it's a very small bottling, we run everything through a labeling line, which has got the labels, and it puts all of that stuff on for us.
That sounds very easy.
So yeah, it's very easy. We're working very clever here. We're not very smart, but we've got like people that know how to make it easier.
A question here from Nils. Is it difficult to get the wines dry when using spontaneous fermentation?
No, we've never had that problem. I mean, like for example, this year we had a really like slow ripening period, and the stuff, everything is dry. When I say dry, I'm talking like 1 gram per liter, very, very dry. It's especially important for, we make a bit of sherry, and it's especially important for the sherry to be very, very dry, to have as little sugar as possible. Was when it gets fortified and starts aging, if it starts fermenting again with any sugar, that really disturbs the floor yeast on top. So this year, it's been really good. Everything is bone dry on the skins. Reds on the skins. Normally, reds we leave on skins for a long time. When we press them, there's a little bit of sugar still left in the whole berries. But this year we found that even the pressed juice is dry. It's fermented completely through, which is fantastic. Because it's a bit irritating sitting with like a small amount of wine with a little bit of sugar, like 8 or 10 grams, that's fermenting and it stops fermenting, and you've got to try and restart it somehow. It becomes volatile, and we just don't like that. I like to just make sure that everything ferments to dryness, and then it's into barrel or tank, and then we carry on like farming, I suppose.
I think this is a really lekker wine. I think it's very very lekker.
It is a very lekker wine. And what's quite nice about that wine is now that we're buying fruit from our neighbors as well. For second-year Shannon. So that's fantastic.
And you said it was good for aging. Like for how long? How old bottles have you tried of it?
Listen, we had last week a friend of mine. We went away for the weekend. We went onto the West Coast, and we were sitting there outside, and it was a magnificent day. The children were out catching crayfish for us. The adults were talking about life and drinking wine on the porch. Obviously, very intelligent conversations. And a friend of mine just opened a wine and poured it blind, and I tasted it, and the color was quite like a luminous green sort of hinge to it. And I tasted it. I thought, shit, it's actually not bad. And it was a 2010 second-year Shannon.
Oh wow!
So I was like, wow, that is amazing. So the stuff can age. It can age because the vineyards are right. The vineyards are right. Yeah, and we don't add a lot of sulfur and that kind of stuff in the beginning of fermentation and stuff. We let the juice oxidize and stabilize, and it goes through malolactic fermentation and all those kind of things. So the wine is stable when it's bottled. I think that helps a lot. Well, it sounds like I know what I'm saying, but maybe I'm not.
Does. Yeah, it does. And here you can be a very good professor as well on this question. What would you say are the characteristics for Chenin, difference between South Africa and France?
Yeah, the big difference, I mean, obviously it's the same grape. And you know, what's happened in France, sadly, is the genetic diversity of their Chenin Blanc of vineyards and plantings has decreased severely. You know, there've been a couple of guys last year from France, from, you know, as part of the Chenin Blanc Institute, came out here doing selections in various vineyards around South Africa. In fact, in some of our vineyards as well, looking for new plant material to take back to France. Look, that is the one thing, is the plant material is, I think, quite different, and it has become, you know, over the last 300 years, it's become further and further apart. The other major one is, of course, the climate. I mean, you know, we don't have as much precipitation, rain, as the guys in Vouvray. I mean, I was speaking this morning to a friend of mine, Vincent Carême. He's in Tours. I mean, the guys, they're actually burning candles again tonight in the vineyards. You know, it's quite chilly. Poor guys. So there's a huge difference in the climate between the two places. And when it comes to ripening as well, you know, in South Africa, we're able to ripen grapes far easier than the guys in France. You know, there to get 13.5 alcohol, everything has to be perfect and pristine. Where to get to 13.5% in South Africa, yeah, it's very, very easy. But the major difference in the wines, and what I've seen now, is the pHs of the wines. The pHs of the stuff in the general, now I'm saying in general, are much lower than what we have in South Africa. You've got a warmer climate, you've got more exposure to the sun, our skins become a bit thicker, and when you press that, there's more potassium and the juice, so your pH is a little bit higher here in South Africa, and acidity is lower. Whereas in France, low pH and high acidity, and that low pH and high acidity, you know, make it seem even more acidic. But I think, you know, Chenins from both areas can age really, really well.
Definitely.
I don't know if that answers the question completely, but that's my sort of just brief take on it.
I hope, I really think Nils should be happy with that answer. He can write a comment if he wants another answer, but you know, I think it was really, really good. I saw something about that you've done skin contact secateurs, no? I saw something on.
Yeah, but yeah, we do every year for the secateurs Chenin.
Yeah.
A portion of that secateurs Chenin that you're drinking now, 10% of that is fermented on skins.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, a couple of years ago in 2018, my Canadian agent came to visit, and we were tasting through the barrels, and he tasted this, you know, the couple of barrels that we kept aside for the segment. He said, "Oh, please, you know, can we maybe bottle some of this for him?"
Yeah.
And so we did, and you know, it was just from one vineyard, and the vineyard is called, we call it the River Block. Okay. The Rivier Block. There's not a fucking river near it. I mean, the closest thing near it is like just I don't know, like not even a trench. More like, I don't know, it's like nowhere near. But anyway, we call it the River Block because we'd like one day to see some water, and so we decided to call this wine Riviera. So it sounds really fancy. Secateurs Riviera. It's like marketing, you know. It's just to take the piss. We've always called it Riviera, yeah. So you know, and then we made a little bit more in 20.
It sounds like it would be something from, you know, south of France, or rosé or something like Riviera.
Yeah,
French Riviera.
Not from the Swartland. Yeah, exactly. No, I think we might be fucking sued. We might be sued by some of those French people. But so we've made, you know, a little bit more now for them, and a little bit more, and yeah. So we've made a wine now, which is just called Riviera, a Chenin Blanc, mainly Chenin Blanc, fermented on skins, and also carbonic.
Yep.
a long time on skin submerged, like various stuff. We just play around, to be honest. We don't know what we do. We just, if we don't feel like pressing that day, we just put it into a tank and leave it, for a couple of weeks, couple of months. And so the Riviera is bottled with no sulfur. And it's interesting wine. I wouldn't like all my wines to taste like that. It's not natural wine in that it's like funky. It's natural. It's clean.
Talking about natural wine, would you, if someone asks, would you call yourself a natural winemaker?
Well, it depends on their yeah, but it also depends on the definition of natural.
Yeah. What is the definition?
Well, I don't know what the definition is.
Yeah.
A lot of people that make natural wines don't actually farm themselves anyway.
Yeah.
We farm 75 hectares. We income single part of the process. From planting to harvesting to everything. As we don't add yeasts.
Yeah.
We don't use herbicides. We've never used pesticides. We use a little bit of sulfur, and we only filter wine when it's necessary. Each wine that I make, before I bottle it, I send it to a guy in Stellenbosch, like a guy that can look in a microscope. He's fucking very clever. And he has a look and he says, shit, I don't know, there's too many bugs in here.
Yeah.
If you bottle this wine, what's going to happen is you're going to need 3 people to open it. One to hold a shotgun, second one to hold the bottle, and the third one to pull the corkscrew, while the guy with the shotgun shoots the animals as they come out of the wine. I don't want to make wine like that.
Yeah.
I want to make wine that expresses where it's from, the variety, and also our winemaking philosophy. So, yeah, I consider myself a natural winemaker. But, as soon as, you tell the guys, you add a bit of sulfur, they go, oh, Jay, sulfur. They fucking moan about sulfur, but they drive around from one shop to the next in their 4-wheel drive vehicles,
Yeah.
And buying organic goods that are wrapped in plastic.
Yeah,
yes. I'm just trying to. I don't want to be dogmatic about anything. I don't like. Look, we dogmatic. The only thing we dogmatic about is the quality of the wine going into the bottle.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. What is your definition of natural wine? Or natural wine? Is it? A lot of people just rest the argument on sulfur.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing sulfur argument. Since I'm very much on your side of the definition. And yeah, I think you said it very well, because now there's a lot of products coming that they say it's natural, but it's just marketing here in Sweden. So it's sometimes kind of important to talk about, since it's a big subject for some people.
It's a big subject. Look, I think maybe I don't know, maybe it is reassuring for people to, if the wine is, if that's called natural. But then if it's then I think you need to be a certified organic, biodynamic, and the wine needs to be good.
Yeah.
So we tried, this year and last year we've been farming organically, but we've got 1 or 2 vineyards of fruit that we buy in, that we also rent, that's next to our farm. And it's quite difficult to farm those completely organically now, because they're in a state of I don't know, not disrepair, but just in a poor condition. And it's very difficult to have those cut off as part of your certification, so the guys look at the whole farm, the whole 75 hectares, and it's a lot of work. We need a lot of people, and we need to sell a lot of wine to pay for that.
Yeah.
Our most, sorry, man, I don't mean to interject, but our most important thing here in South Africa is to be like You know, we've got, you know, we need to be socially sustainable.
Yeah.
But to be socially, you know, for our community and the people that work here, but to be that, we need to be financially sustainable. You know, those are the main criteria that we work with here. If I had 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 hectares somewhere, anywhere else in the world, fantastic. You know, I'd like write organic and biodynamic all over the label and become like quite a zealous preacher about it. But I don't want to. You know, we just want to make wine and farm well, farm for our children and for our families. Yeah.
And how this pandemic situation has been very, very tough for South Africa. I remember you and I had a conversation maybe half a year ago or something in the beginning of this, and you were talking about, you know, if this continues, I just stop making wine and I start selling vegetables instead. You know.
Yeah. Look. No, man. I mean, I was probably having a bit of a fucking moment then, but yeah, it's been difficult to sell wine in South Africa, of course. You know, a lot of people have, you know, there's horror stories everywhere. People have lost businesses, etc., but we've been very fortunate. During lockdown, we closed our doors. All of our staff that lived off the farm, we moved them onto the farm. So we had a very close, tight community here on the farm, and we carried on farming. One person went to town once a week to buy food for everybody. And we did that for 3, 4, 5 months until the restrictions were eased. And we got a hell of a lot done. We formed amazing teams on the farm. There was an incredible togetherness. So there's been a lot of shit around COVID and a lot of negative stuff. But for us, we've got a lot of stuff done. We didn't sell any wine, but we got a lot of infrastructure repaired and vineyards sorted out and wines and etc., and we built just a much stronger team. And now we're just so much more positive, even though we don't know what's going to happen. You know, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Yeah, and some good things have come through this pandemic, at least. But you know, you and I can talk about everything, but I have a few bottles in front of me.
Okay,
we have only talked about this white secretary, and at least if people can comment and say if you have the wines, please comment so we know what to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so
next white.
So that's the family white, huh?
That's the family white.
Family white, and what single vineyard do you have in front of you? What other white have you got?
I have the papagayo.
Papagayo.
How do you pronounce it?
Papagayo, yeah.
Papagayo, yeah.
Papagayo, yeah.
Papegoja in Swedish.
Yeah, and then the secretary is red, yeah.
Then the secretary red, and then I have the red family, and then I have the ramnagras, ramnas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's get on, because it's maybe boring for some people that are actually tasting wine. Maybe everybody's drunk already.
Probably.
But so the family white blend is a blend of many different grapes, 12 different grapes. If you read the back label, it'll say.
I need to take the paper off.
Yeah, if you read the back label, it'll probably only mention 5 or 6 or 7, but there's 12 different grapes in that wine. And once again, everything is picked together, fermented together, 1 year in wooden vat, 1 year in concrete, and then it's like an arranged marriage, you know. Throw all these grapes together, and we hope for the best. And it's really a very good representation of where we are. So that's the one with the blue label. So that's like our appellation white.
Okay.
And the red we do is in that, under that range, is pretty much the same thing. It's a blend of red vineyards that have got a lot of age, all picked together. So this wine can age really nice, got nice texture and nice weight. I love it. This I think is the best white wine we make. We do also make some single vineyard Chennons and Palominos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this wine is just for me delicious. The family white. I really like it.
And this is 18. How was 18 as a vintage?
18 was, look, when you say 18 is a vintage, for us it actually means how was 17, because it's, we harvest
Of
early
course.
in the
Harvest
yeah,
18, yeah.
so so 18 is a vintage. There was quite a bit of stress. It was quite dry, but our vineyards are really well looked after. We don't have irrigation, but a lot of mulching, so really nice, nice concentration of fruit. I think quite nice ability to age, of course. Yeah, no new barrels, just old vats and concrete tanks. And we make a tiny amount of it. We make like 5,000 liters, 6,000 liters. Really a small amount.
And for people, how many bottles?
6,000 or 7,000 bottles, I suppose.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm shitty with maths.
Me too. That's why I work with the wine. I was gonna say. That's why I didn't become a lawyer, because I don't know. Apparently, you need math to go to the university here in Sweden.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, shitty. We have a question for you here. What's in your glass,
Yes.
Adi? Because you're not drinking any wine.
No, I'm drinking Chenin Blanc.
Yeah.
But this Chenin Blanc is from a vineyard here on the farm.
Yep.
And it's been distilled. So we make every year. We've got one vineyard that's Chenin Blanc mainly, with a little bit of Colombar, and we turn it into brandy every year. And this is the 2013 brandy I'm drinking from that's stored below my house.
Perfect. Yeah, because you're drinking wine later on. You can't drink wine all the time.
Yeah, I'm drinking wine later this evening. I've got a couple of people coming to the farm this evening, so we'll be drinking a bit of wine.
How lucky am I? I wish I could join. This is right now. I just wish I could be in South Africa. I'm so jealous of Madeline, who's been there for quite a long time now, 2 months or something, I think.
Yeah, she was. Every year we have quite a famous party here on the farm.
Yeah.
And it was our harvest party, and Madeline was there. She was a witness as to what happened that evening. Yeah, it was fantastic. I just asked her. That is fantastic.
Do you use new oak in your wine? Is a question here.
No. I haven't used new oak in my wine yet. I bought some new barrels last year, like 2020, and this year I also bought a few new barrels because I needed just more barrels, So I bought some new barrels. Yeah. So what we're going to taste now is the Papachai.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Papachai and
Papegoja.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a parrot, huh? Yeah. So. Look, this wine was never supposed to have happened.
Okay.
We made like a little bit of wine, and it went to the UK, to the Tate Gallery. Mm-hmm. It was Cinsault, Tinta Barocca, sometimes Cinsault Grenache, and the proceeds of this wine go to a wildlife organization. And particularly parrots in South Africa. So there's a very rare parrot in South Africa. I love parrots. I don't know, it's a bit fucking dodgy, but I love parrots, and I breed parrots. So the proceeds of this wine go to saving a parrot called the Cape Parrot.
Cape Parrot.
Yeah, it's called the Cape Parrot. It's one of the rarest parrot species in the world, and these are grapes not from my own farm, but from the farm just below me, farmed by a farmer that looks like the Marlboro Man. You know the Marlboro Man, the guy with a big moustache. Yeah. And he just smokes like this, cigarettes the whole time, and he drives a blue truck. So this is Cinsault from the Marlboro Man, and fermented in open fermenters. Bottled early and sold, within 10 months of harvest.
This is
young vine Cinsault.
But it's,
yeah, I think it's very
a very
interesting.
fun wine. No, it's very.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you know, and that's what Cinsault is. When you, if you taste the Secateurs Cinsault next.
Yep.
So the Secateurs Cinsault's got, you know, don't believe the back label on the Secateurs.
Don't drink and walk on the road. You may be.
No. Believe that.
Yep.
But if there are 8 percentages on the back, don't believe that shit. It doesn't exist.
Okay. 82, 10, and 8.
No. So it's about 55% Cinsault, 40% Grenache, and a little bit of Shiraz. So the Secateurs is mainly Cinsault, Grenache with a little bit of Shiraz, and this is our own fruit from younger vineyards, fermented in open fermenters, left on the skins for only 5 or 6 days, and then matured in big wooden vats. But what's going to happen in the next couple of years is that that blend is going to change.
Okay.
Much to the disgust of all my importers and like people, because they just get used to selling the Secateurs Cinsault. Because we've bought another piece of land, and on that land there's quite a lot of Shiraz, and we've planted anyway. So there's going to be more Shiraz available in the next couple of years. So both of these wines, I recommend just put them in the fridge, keep them slightly chilled, and don't be scared to drink a lot of them.
I totally agree. To chill them a bit, because that's delicious.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's how we drink Cinsault here. And Cinsault is obviously it's a big, very big grape here in the Swartland. Very important grape. I mean, not very big. Yeah. It is a fucking big grape. I mean, it's got big bunches, but it's a very important grape in the Swartland. And the young Cinsaults like what we've used in the Papagai and in the Secateurs just show amazing fruit, that red fruit plumminess, really accessible tannins. And when we taste later, we'll taste the Ramnasras Cinsault, also Cinsault, but what's separating these wines is basically 55 years,
And it's, So young vine, how young are the young vines when we talk about young, because you said 50.
You see it's all relative, So we've got young Grenache on the farm, and the young Grenache is 28 years old. So we call it young Grenache when it's 28. But anything younger than 20 years, we say young vines.
Yep.
And anything from 35 upwards is old vines, Those in between, we don't really know what to call them. there's no, in between. I don't know. There's no name for them yet, They're sort of like teenagers, still trying to find out what's what, But so with the young vines, they're obviously more productive. They crop higher. Whereas the older vines, the yields get quite low, of course. But with Cinsault, that's quite important if you want to make a Cinsault like the Ramnasras. It needs to have some kind of age. It needs to be unirrigated. Those are the best ways for those vines to absorb the place they're standing in, is to be under those conditions. And then you end up with a wine that's, I don't know, I mean, it's got amazing text. Are you going to open have you got the Ramnasras?
Which one do you want to taste first? Or do
the Ramnasras.
Yeah, I have that one here. Perfect.
Yeah. Open the Ramnasras. I think that's that'll be the one to taste now.
I actually cheated today and used my Coravan, so I don't have to open, so I can drink these wines later on.
Oh, so you can drink this thing for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
You're gonna be drinking it on the train tonight, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so with the rum nasras, the older Cinsault, it's I don't know, the tannin for me is like a transparency of tannin. It's a really deep tannin. It's got a lot of structure, amazing fruit, and it can age fantastically, really well. We're going to be drinking tonight down at my friend's later this evening. I've taken out some older vintages, 2011 and 12 and 13 of this same vineyard. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to taste those, Once I finish my Chenin Blanc. My Chenin Blanc.
Your Chenin Blanc. Yeah, you need to tell me later on how the older vintages was. But this is quite fun as well, because it's let's see, it's different alcohol level in them as well. People talk a lot about alcohol level in Sweden. They want to know about the alcohol, and they want to know about sugar level every time. How much sugar is it? That's one of the first questions.
Look, I mean, I don't know how much alcohol is in that. It'll say on the back label.
This one is Ramnasgras is 12, but the Secretary is 13 and a half. Yeah.
And the Papachai will be a bit more.
The Papachai is 14, I think.
Yeah, that's normal, when the younger vines, they're a little bit riper when the flavors are nice.
Yep.
Whereas the older vineyards just get really good flavors and at a lower sugar, at a lower alcohol, a lower potential alcohol.
Yeah.
And those alcohols are accurate. We're not like the French, huh?
Yeah.
The French will print like 5 million labels, all with the same alcohol, and use them for 4 generations. Yeah, but we are very precise. So our alcohols are within half a degree of the actual alcohol. I promise.
Anja, she wonders if she should let her Ramnasgras rest for a couple of years. The 2018.
Hello, Anja, I can recommend that. 2018 Ramnasgras. It's a brooding wine. It's a brooding wine. It's a wine that's going to take, thankfully, a long time to develop. So remember that it's we had a drought situation in 2017, quite a stressful harvest, very low yields. The wine is fermented in a tank, aged in one tank, and never moved in between, and bottled directly from that cask. So this wine is really, really tight. It's gonna slowly open up in the next couple of years, and then that fruit is going to become amazing, and the palate, the transparency of tannin, and that powerfulness of tannin. It's gonna age like a Burgundy, I feel. We keep a lot of this wine back. This is the one wine that we keep the most back of because of how it ages.
Is this your star?
Yeah, we keep back 300 bottles each year of this wine.
For your own bride or two?
Yeah, for our bride, for our parties.
Yeah.
No. Look, I mean, I tell my accountant, we must keep this stuff back. It's so amazing, and we are gonna sell it later.
Yeah.
But no, fuck, we haven't sold any of it yet. But it's just really. Yeah. No, exactly.
Tryffelsvinet, they will buy back vintages, and if next year they buy loads of back vintage, so we can have a box here in Sweden with all the latest.
Yeah, but you know what, then it would be quite cool to come over there one day and do a tasting of these back vintages, and go back. We don't need to taste every single wine, but we can taste over 10 years. We can taste 2 or 3 wines in that 10-year period.
Yeah.
And it'll give you an amazing insight as to how these wines develop. Because you must remember, like, wines are not well made. We don't make them as well as, like, my neighbor Ibn Sadi or
Who's Ibn
the mother
Sadi?
new fan.
I don't. Who is he?
Some dodgy neighbor of mine. So we don't make wines that well. We are more farmers. We are more vignerons than like winemakers. So our wines also reflect that. They take time to open, but there's a very good pedigree.
But it's everything. Most of it, not everything, but almost everything happens in the vineyard. So that's where you need to start. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it also, in fact, everything starts around the coffee machine, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's
it starts
true.
Around, it starts.
You have a very beautiful coffee machine.
Thank you very much. It starts around the coffee machine. That's where we make plans, and then we go to the vineyards.
Well, I have a question here. I don't know why he asks this, but maybe what is the alcohol level of your Chenin Blanc that you have in your glass? I don't know.
Why? Why does he ask that question?
I don't
know. Tell him I should maybe add a bit more. I should maybe add a bit more ice to it. It's cask strength.
It's cask strength. Should we finish up with the red family blend? I wanted to keep the beautiful paper. Why is it?
I can send you some.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I don't want to destroy the beautiful paper here.
Yeah, I know. Fuck that. That's why we hate wrapping this stuff, because everybody destroys it. Yeah. No, the family blend is it's the wine we started when we started out. When we moved here, we decided we're just going to make 2 wines.
Yeah.
1 white and 1 red. And so our idea was to make a red wine from our vineyards, of course. Yeah. And we've got really cool vineyards, man. Fuck, the vineyards are amazing. Very nice Grenache, Cinsault, and a little bit of Tinta Barocca now, and Touriga, and all those kind of things, and Shiraz. And the vineyards are getting a bit of age. But what makes this wine stand out is that I think it's another one of those wines that's almost like a farmer's wine.
Yeah.
It's a vigneron's wine. It's not pretty. It hasn't got any makeup on. There's no eyeshadow. The grapes are picked together. In fact, not all picked on the same day. It's 7 vineyards, so we pick it over about 5 days. And the fermentation happens together. It spends quite a long time on the skins after fermentation. Some of the grapes are destemmed. We destem stuff like Grenache and Cinsault and sometimes the Touriga. But the Tinta Barocca we keep whole bunch, and the Shiraz we do everything whole bunches. So we sort of layer the tanks, different layers of grapes, as we pick the vineyards. And that's it. Very, very simply made. But when you start blending wine, you start moving away from varietals. And you start to try and get a sense of the vineyards, I think, less of the different grapes. They're in there because it says on the front label, if you believe the front label. If you believe the front label,
don't trust the labels.
But don't trust the labels. But you move away from that kind of stuff, and you move towards a wine that for us is quite authentic. It's rough around the edges. I don't want to say rustic. They used to be very rustic. They are less rustic now. Yeah, and that's it, huh?
It's beautiful. It's much. Do
I
you
must
have?
just, I must just hang on. I've just got to get my my charger, but
Yep.
don't laugh at my pants,
Okay. No
please.
worries.
Yeah.
Okay, now you need to
These
show your
are
pants.
what?
I can't see them properly. Now you need to show us them. Wow. Beautiful.
These are amazing,
They are
amazing pants.
amazing.
It's it's the view of the Durban beachfront.
Lucky you didn't put the camera lower down.
Yeah, listen. I mean, I've heard about these things that happen in these.
On live streams. Yeah, people
Yeah,
having
I've
their
heard,
Zoom meetings and team. Yeah.
yeah, I've heard about that shit. Let me just see this thing. I just have this phone is charging now.
Well,
So
Peter, he says, please tell your friendly chap that the family wines are really in his taste. So I think the friendly chap.
no, thank you.
I think so.
No, well, thanks very much. No, I mean, I think they look. I mean, we are just fucking simple farmers, you know. We make grapes and we make wine, and it's we have a lot of fun doing it, you know. And we employ people, we feed a lot of people here, and that's a great thing. Huh?
Of all the, like, how many different grapes do you grow?
Too many, but you know when when we've planted. So this year, in fact, last year. Now, let me tell you a story. So my plan is, I don't know if it's going to work. It might be like a shitty plan, but so I said when my wife and I started out, we wanted to make two wines, a white and a red.
Yep.
Now we make many different wines. These amazing single vineyards, different cinsos, yeah, all kinds of stuff. We probably make about 15 or 16 different wines. But in 10 years' time, I'd like just to make one wine. Not one white, not one red, but one wine together.
That's
And
everything.
everything from the farm. And we started last year with a first experiment. So we picked the whole farm in 2 days, exact proportions of every single grape there was, and put that into a small tank. This year we did it again, but on a bigger scale. And I must say that wine is really fantastic. It's about 65% red, 35% white. If that adds up to 100, does it add up to 100? I think so.
How was your mouth again?
No, I'm really nervous. So that for me is an amazing challenge to do, because I've made all these single vineyards, and we're going to do it for the next couple of years. But to draw complete and total focus into one wine will be amazing for me. It'll be very hard for me because I need to go into like Ritalin and all that kind of shit, you know, to like, yeah. I don't know, what do they call that drug? Ritalin, when people have ADH. Like, I have to have a lot of Ritalin and maybe Valium and I don't know what kind of stuff, but maybe a lot more. Maybe I'll need a lot more Chenin Blanc. But it'll be amazing to do that. And then if my children take over, yeah, in 12 years' time or 15 years, then they can rediscover these amazing single vineyards and have this amazing journey of discovery that I've had, you know. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to give them something that they must just carry on with. I want to give them something that they need to rediscover. So that's the plan. So we planted many different varietals, like stuff, you know, if I can't pronounce the name of the grape, I just call it Cinso or fucking and Grenache 7. I mean, no, you know, some of the names are unpronounceable, you know. So, but we planted a lot of different varietals, and we're having a lot of fun. I must say, we're planting this year. We're planting Another 9,000 vines.
Yeah, you had a picture of. I need to. Here we go. That one I didn't show before.
Oh, that what? Oh, yeah. Those things are just. That's called a gave or a fagot.
Okay.
It's a bunch of vine shoots that are put into a tank. Right at the bottom of the tank, just so inside the tank, on the bottom of the tank, behind the bottom valve, like the draining valve. So you put that against the valve, then put 2 rocks on top of it, and it acts as like a filter, so the valve doesn't get blocked when you draw off the juice. Yeah, that's a gave. I love taking pictures of gaves.
Oh.
I'm a very good gave photographer.
Very good. What do you drink if you don't drink wine? Drink wines from South Africa. What's the question here?
You mean, like currently? I mean, at the moment, we buy quite a bit of buy quite a bit of Burgundy. We buy Burgundy that, like stuff from Gouge and Meunier, that stuff like you must drink with your grandchildren. We drink a lot of amazing village stuff. We buy a lot of Burgundy. I love the wines of Germany. I've got a fantastic producer there that I buy a lot of his wines. Emich Batteryberg. Love those wines.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really, really beautiful wines. I've managed to get quite a bit of New Zealand wine at the moment, and it's quite interesting to taste New Zealand wines again, because I hadn't done it for 10 or 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And not properly, because we don't get the wines here. You must understand, we're in South Africa. The wines you buy are just from specific imported wines, and they're never in retail. You buy them directly from importers.
Yeah.
Whereas in a place like us, these wines are available for everybody on every shelf. Yeah, I mean, I want to. What my mission now in the next while is to really try and understand Portugal. Look, I mean, we know about the Madeiras and that kind of style of wine, but I really want to have a look at particularly the Dow and Barreda at the moment, and just have a look at those 2 areas and try and get to understand them.
A lot of things happening around there as well. So it's
and I think exciting stuff. Yeah, and I drink a lot of sherry. Yeah?
A lot of sherry, yeah.
Yeah, I drink a lot of sherry.
I love sherry. It's beautiful wines. All of your wines here, what would you recommend people to eat to your wines?
Oh, jeez. I knew you were going to ask me that question.
Okay, sorry.
I knew you were going to ask me that question.
Okay, skip it.
It is like for me the most difficult question, because it's so. No, but I don't know. It's so difficult. It depends on the sauces you've got, and the spicing, and what you're eating, and the occasion, the time of day. I mean, these wines are the family white for me is a wine that's quite complex.
Definitely.
It's got nice texture. It changes quite a bit in the glass. It obviously changes in the bottle. So there's if you've got the more touching points in a dish you've got, the better. With something like the family white, I think it's one of the most complex wines we make.
Definitely.
The reds at the moment are quite young and quite awkward at this stage to try and place. But they are all delicious with boerewors.
With what?
Boerewors.
Boerewors. Yeah, of course. Boerewors. Yeah.
Boerewors. No, I mean, I'm being facetious.
Sandwiches. What did you call those grilled sandwiches again?
Oh, look, I mean, you get grilled sandwiches, and then you get my brother's grilled sandwiches. The braaibroodjies.
Yeah. I got one. Is that Asian guy still at your place?
Cage.
Yeah.
No, he's just left. I mean, last year with lockdown,
Yeah.
he spent 7 months. He was here for 221 days.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
The guy is a legend.
Because he cooked really well.
Oh, he was amazing. I mean, he cooked we did every week, 1 or 2 nights a week, just a Japanese evening. He was amazing. He's actually running a restaurant down in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
But he makes his own wine, as you know. He makes his own wine in our winery, and he's been here for the last 5 years. So it's amazing. And he just came for a wine tasting. Came for a wine tasting one day, and I invited him for the harvest, and he's been here every year since.
Wow, such a funny guy.
Yeah, yeah, it is incredible. Yeah. So when are you guys allowed to travel again?
Well, we
not
are
really.
Not never again. I would say probably no, but we. That's how it feels. Never again. No, but you know, some people travels, but you know, we are not really permitted to travel if it's not work related or things like that. But I think soon we get some vaccine around here. Some people are getting vaccinated, and hopefully I get my shot soon. So then I'm crossing my fingers I can be there for harvest next year at least. That's my goal.
Yeah, I think in South Africa, we'll be vaccinated in 2066.
Probably.
We'll have everyone will have been vaccinated. It takes a long time here. Yeah.
2066. Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have people waiting for you.
No, but yeah, listen, man, it was really nice to chat. And if anybody needs, if there are any more questions that I haven't answered, they can always email me on my email address. It's Wynbefok, WYNBEFOK @iafrica.com, or just contact me on Instagram or Facebook or one of those things. It's Wynbefok on Instagram. And if there are any questions or any advice, I mean, you know, if you want some advice on other South African wines to try, people to go and visit when you do come to South Africa, feel free to ask me any questions.
Robert, he wonders if you will invite us Swedes for a party in 2067.
Yeah, you're all welcome. It's going to be on the 24th of March.
2067, perfect.
Yeah, 24th of March. It's a Tuesday. It's going to be amazing.
Last question here, because it's about your T-shirt. What does it mean? Winemaker's demand.
Well, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, wow.
So it's
a pandemic T-shirt.
Yeah, so it says winemaker's demand. The people must drink.
Yeah.
Because and it's a bit of like a revolutionary kind of slogan-y thing. Fuck, I'm just trying to get this camera thing. And then it says pandemic and restrictions saga. So the PARS is pars, and that means harvest in South Africa.
Yeah.
But so obviously during the lockdown, during this pandemic, we've had like fucking terrible restrictions on travel and wine sales. People have, you know, we haven't been allowed to drink, haven't been allowed to buy alcohol for months and months. So that's why we had this T-shirt, man. And it's just a cool T-shirt. I think I might. Yeah.
Is that the T-shirt that you were supposed to send me, but I got the second of this one? Oh, no, I'm joking.
No, no. That one wasn't out yet. But I've sent you this one as well.
Yes. No, I'm very, very happy. I wear it all the time. Proudly.
Of course you do. I mean, you've never taken that t-shirt off for months.
Nope.
No, but but these t-shirts, so we are selling them from the farm, and people love them. You know, the guys come and buy them, and because it's it's quite an apt t-shirt. You know.
Absolutely. Adi, I actually have to hit the train very soon, and you have friends coming.
I know you do.
So
listen, safe travels. Enjoy the trip to the north.
Yeah.
And good luck for your TV. Good luck for your TV show. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
Hopefully,
it's all going to be.
I'm going to talk about grapes. I'm going to talk about Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Riesling, but without showing any labels or anything. So it will be amazing.
and all in Swedish.
All in Swedish, yeah.
That's going to be very, very difficult. That's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult language. But listen, guys, thanks very much for hosting me and for taking the time. I know I was maybe talking maybe too much at one stage, but
no.
Just
love it.
I think it's just an interesting look at what we're doing wine-wise. But remember, our wines are not very well made, but they sort of more farmers' wines, you know.
But they taste amazing, and I think they're really enjoyable.
Thank you.
And people love them. And hopefully I can talk to you, in person very soon again, instead of with the camera and the screen, and yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see you next year for the harvest.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if I'm, can I join you, or should I go back to Stompy or Även? He says no, so I don't know where to.
I don't know. You'll have to send in your CV. We'll have to treat everything very fairly. We'll go through the CVs. Absolutely. And select everybody on merit, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'll send my CV.
Send it.
And then you will put it in the trash.
No, never. Okay, guys, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I talk to you soon.
Okay, chat to you later.
Chat to you later.
Okay, bye.
Ja, det här var ju helt fantastiskt att få med Adi på länk så här. Det är ju så himla roligt att få prata med en person som honom, och hans viner är ju väldigt, väldigt mycket bättre än vad han säger att de är. Så att, har ni inte provat dem tidigare, testa. Det vill jag verkligen rekommendera. Och ni som har testat dem, skriv gärna, kommentera vilka som var er favorit om ni har testat flera. Och imorgon så tänkte jag prova vin via Instagram. Då ska jag prova vin live. Helt annat mot det här. Men det är det som är roligt. Igår så lagade jag mat med Johanna och Måns Elmelöv. Idag snackar jag med Adi. Imorgon blir det Instagram. Nästa vecka så ska jag snacka om Loiredalen tillsammans med Frida Lund som är bakom kontot Goda Grejer. Nu ska jag packa väskan och bege mig upp till Umeå. Där kan ni se mig i rutan i morgonkväll i SVT. Tack för idag!
lite ovanifrån blir de jättesmå. Om man bara pekar på felen, gör ingenting trasigt helt igen. Jag tänker ibland och jag lovar